All right. Good morning, everybody. Yay. Happy Monday. Aw. Michelle, you doing your hair right now?
I'm definitely not camera ready. No, I'm not doing my hair, but I'm just doing some things around the house. I was actually, I'll be honest with you, I was up late last night. I finally slayed the dragon. I've had a lot of fear around writing my mother's eulogy. It was amazing how I was avoiding it. I would have rather tackled an alligator in a bath full of broken glass than do that. But when I did it last night, it was just like, I meditated, I did some breath work beforehand, asked God for help in writing it, and I just breathed, and then it's just amazing how everything just comes to you.
Oh,
So this thing I
wow.
was greatly afraid of, it's just like I'm so glad I did it. Of course, I'll refine it today, but it just, yeah, it was powerful, and I didn't realize how much I was running from it till I was like, wow, you were really avoiding doing this.
Oh,
Yeah, but I'm so glad I did it. It was very cathartic. It was very, I had some great memories, a couple of good cries, and it was beautiful.
yeah. I mean, starting my Monday with a cry too. Thank you for that.
Mm,
Wow.
yeah.
Oh, God. That's so beautiful. What, if you don't mind, so were they just memories that came in? Any revelations? While you were writing
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, look, a lot of revelations. I appreciate you asking. So I was trying to think about how, again, I've never done this before, right? So it's like, my dad died when I was just 14. My cousin John wrote his eulogy, and he did a beautiful tribute to my dad about he broke down the word gentleman, and like just really just went to town on that. So for me, I had to tell my mother's story, because a lot of you don't know who she is except through me. And then of course, her family, that are still alive, they know the story. So I kind of described, from basically from birth to how she met my dad. And then, just really kind of told the story about, basically just a lot of the things that she experienced, right? So she married young. She was dating my dad for less than a year. Whirlwind romance. They get married, and in other words, like I kind of just found myself like telling the story of how they had two beautiful kids, obviously me and my sister, and then of course as you hear when you go, it was me really just kind of letting it unfold for myself and kind of describe how she obviously lost her husband young, and they tried to fight cancer together, and you know what I mean, like I was just, as I was writing it, I realized her strength. I
Mm.
realized her strength and her resilience of having being such a young widow. She was 43 when my dad died, right? So she is raising two girls, you know what I mean, and she stepped up right to the challenge, and did everything from like paying off the house by herself, you know what I mean, like working two jobs, did the best she could. And then in other words, like I found myself just telling the story of like, wow, she was such a hero in so many ways. She was my greatest teacher, and her strength and resilience, I can feel that as I step into the role that I'm stepping into with my nephews, you know into motherhood in my 50s, just something that I never imagined. I don't have to do it, but I can't imagine not doing it. And it's so beautiful and so wonderful in so many ways. And so I just really realized what a role model she was by stepping into her truth and her level of character. So yes, a lot of revelations. A lot of revelations. Yeah. Ooh.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Michelle.
Ah.
Wow.
Ooh. Nothing like a cry on a manifest Monday morning.
It's a good release to start the week for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, and also just acknowledging like how beautiful it is to see the arc and the journey. Listening to you is actually making me feel my own arc and journey, right? Like I've had all of my own shit with my mother, and yet,
Yeah.
it's yeah, like there's a whole strength. There's all these other gifts that we were given despite looking when we zoom out, especially for you and when we move on. So I'll take a lot of that with me today. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me share. I didn't know it was going to go that way, but I sure realized it's amazing. My eyes aren't swollen shut from last night, but I was scared to do it. And I thought, why are you scared to do this? Like, no one's more qualified than you to write this eulogy. Like, what are you afraid of? So it was really interesting for me to just walk into conquering the fear.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Oh, thank you, honey. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
There's on that same note, it's funny because we haven't gone through our gratitude yet this morning, which, if you're in here and you're in the chat jumping in, good morning, welcome, Manifest Monday, mindset and magic to start our week off, not just on the right foot, but in full alignment with who we are. So start by calling in that gratitude, calling in something that gave you love, joy, or appreciation over the past week or weekend. Call it into your body, call it into your mind. Start to relive it, put a smile on your face, even if you gotta fake it. Because those of you who like Yogi Brian on Instagram, I love Yogi Brian. All right, fuckers, just get a smile, even if you have to fake it, even if you have to fake it, put it on you, right? There's something about changing your body, which changes your state of your mind. Michelle just shared a beautiful, beautiful story of her writing her mom's eulogy last night, which she had been avoiding. And that was a very touching moment. And I'm going to share too, while all of you call in that gratitude, and while you call it in, it comes into your body, you make it real, bring it into form, type it into the chat, write it into a journal, or I'll ask you to kind of share in community as we meet in community for the first 12 minutes or so of this call. And while you do that, I feel called to share. A lot of you know when I went to, well, we talk about procrastination being scared of things, but there's a very specific story my in 2019 when I went to Collective Genius and I had gotten the call from my wife's attorney that said, you have 2 weeks to vacate the house, and I was like, oh my God, I'm homeless, but it still didn't even occur to me, right? It didn't occur to me until I got on the plane and I'm working on my presentation to go and perform for these, top 1% of 1%er real estate entrepreneurs. And it was all about our teams and culture and not just our daily huddle, but what we do to kind of bring people together and make them feel warm, fuzzy, and accountable. And I'm finally on the plane and just realizing what like a whole fraud my life was at the time. And it like all hit me at once. So that time going to Collective Genius was when I basically stood up in front of the group of people and literally broke down emotionally. Like my whole first ego death, fell to my knees, bawling like a little baby, sharing with everybody this was how my life was, but up until now, it's not this anymore. And I don't know what it looks like, and I'm scared. Like, I mean, really. And then I read a book in between that time and the next time because I went back again 3 months later, which was my last mastermind. I had read a book to my kids and it was called Mikey and the Dragon. But it was Jocko Willink, for those of you who know who he is. And it was one of the most beautiful and powerful books for me. And I was reading it obviously for me, not knowing it was for me. And it was about this little 7-year-old, right, whose dad dies, is the king, and he's now the prince. And every single day, his dad would go off to the caves to fight the dragons. And that's why all the people loved him. And now that he died, the 7-year-old is realizing, oh my God, he has to step in to this king role. He has to be the one. And the story is told so beautifully where you're envisioning him and he's pulling out the chest and the big trunk with his dad's armor and his shield and his big sword he uses, and he can't even lift the sword that his dad had. And as he like moves and finally, like the whole book is him getting up the courage, right? And getting up the courage to do what his dad did, to step into his shoes, to kind of move up to those mountains. And what it turns out is he gets up to the mountains and he finally faces this horrible dragon. And as it turns out, all of these little dragons that he thought were these big, thirsty, blood-hungry creatures were these cute little bat-like creatures that were just flying around and looking to make friends and looking to be happy. And he's like, I don't understand. I don't understand. Why? What is this? What is this all about? And then he goes back to the village and he starts to try to tell the villagers, like, they're not scary. They're just little bats. It's totally fine. And the villagers will not believe him. No, we're so happy. You're thankful that you're doing it. It's like, no, no, no. They're just cute. They're just cute. And the point of the story for me, right? Like in those moments, for me, it was fear of the unknown, but it was also fear of knowing my entire identity was like literally about to die. Like who I was, not knowing what was next, not knowing what it looked like. And this book like signified everything. And when I read the part about him seeing these little big monster dragons, right? Like we're actually just these cute little cute creatures that wanted to connect. It now comes back to mind for me every single time I find myself procrastinating something important. And I all of that to like connect the dots with the beautiful story that Michelle said earlier, when she was realizing she was putting off this eulogy and not knowing why, and like kept putting it off, putting it off, putting it off. And then she was able to kind of focus and get it done last night and had all of these beautiful openings and revelations of this relationship and how it changed with her mother and her family, and how she's now stepping into the same role with that strength and that beauty, but that admiration. But now she has her touches to it. Now she's adding her beautiful way of being to her nephews. So overwhelmed with emotion a little bit this morning, and I thank you all for jumping in, especially if it's your first time. Sometimes it's good to start in an emotional state. We're letting it all go this morning. And now that we have worked through that, I just want to share or ask for those of you who have pulled in what gave them love, gratitude, or appreciation this past week or weekend, or for those of you who maybe still need to let something go before you move into gratitude. I'd love to call upon anybody who'd like to kind of share this morning and this weekend, if you like. One thing that gave me love and gratitude this weekend, I was able to finally open up our fire pit, and we had some like a beautiful night of connection with usually my wife doesn't see my kids that often, but we were able to have like a night together, which was a very special night for me. So I'm going to live there and bring that into my body. And now I'll call on anybody of you who wants to share, wants to tell us what's going on, checking in your life, something you're grateful for, or something you just want to let go of. Who'd like to connect? I'm only going to call on him because his video's on. I love you, Jack Pinard. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, I don't know if I mean things are just good. I mean, after you have brain surgery, you're pretty happy every day. So that's all I gotta say.
What's your version of happiness from the past week or weekend, or even today as you're stepping into? What's today's happiness?
I took a 2 mile walk this morning, so and felt really good. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
about it.
Are
Like I
you
said,
working?
it's
Are you
easier to
working?
be.
Are you leaning into kind of relaxing that little voice that's telling you you need to
Yeah,
do this, you need to do
yeah.
that?
It's that is an an iceberg the size that the Titanic hit. So I'm
Yeah,
slowly I look at it as a long-term project, really, because it's been there. I mean, I thought the other day I was thinking back to the first house I flipped in 1987, and the whole reason I went and did that was because I wanted the money to build a recording studio. So it's been an extra, extra, extra billion years of thinking that way. So it's a slow, slight melt, maybe a little chip of ice comes off. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm aware of it every day, so I look at that as a good thing.
That's a beautiful analogy too. Like we talk about the cruise ship going one direction. You can only go like 1 degree every month. There's a degree to be turning the ship around. I believe you. I know exactly what you're going through, Jack. But let's just celebrate that. 2 mile walks, everything's better when you're when you're alive. Just feeling it. Yeah. Yeah, I love you so much, Jack. I'm so happy that you're back here just hanging out with us. Really, really appreciate it, dude. So good to see your face. Oh, Virginio, I saw your video this morning. Good morning to you, sir. What's happening in your life? Oh, you might be talking to somebody. Okay, we'll move on to. I saw a few people in the chat. Caleb, I love that. Then there's a part of me that's like, time for a new sheet for the new version. Oh, version of myself I wanted to become that I won't down on a piece of paper to, oh, wrote down on a piece of paper is me today. Nothing more I could be grateful for. Oh, I love that. Then there's the part of me that's like, time for a new sheet for the new version. Yeah, Caleb, right? When we say, well, as you know in Warrior, when the ceiling becomes the floor, all right? As you continue to move up and better yourself, there's always more work to be done. But the goal of me now is to feel that freedom and feel that presence every single day. That's my new metric of success for me. Oh, he's here. Hey, Kale, you want to check in? Good to see you, dude.
What's up, Nick? How are you this morning, sir?
Oh man, I'm fantastic. How are you? Oh, we lost
It
him.
is.
We can hear you again. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I said I was doing fantastic for a Friday as well, but it's Monday.
It's great when every day's Friday, Caleb. There it is.
It
Oh,
is. It
yeah.
is.
Yeah. That's beautiful. What's giving you love, compassion, gratitude this day?
Oh, today, well, I've got my grandfather in the car, and I am grateful to be able to spend my mornings with him. And we're just going around running errands and getting coffee, filling up the car with gas, just having a good old jolly time, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, love that. Connection with the grandfather. He's a very lucky grandfather to have you as a grandson, Caleb. You should tell him more often.
I know. I know how lucky.
Oh, is his name Grandpa, or what do you call him?
Papa John.
Papa John, I love it. Love it, Papa John. Nice to meet you, brother.
Same here. Bye.
Yeah, good stuff, man. Oh, good to see you, Caleb, as always. I love it.
Likewise.
I see Chris Manley has jumped in the chat. Chris, thank you for that beautiful share, that vulnerable share. Are you in a place where you're able to just kind of share with us this morning, or is that good enough with the text?
I can share. I usually am kind of running around, and I try to make this as much as I can. And most Monday mornings I see it turns out to be like 9:12, 9:15, 9:18. I'm like, oh crap, I'm missing it again. It's in my calendar and I don't know what it is, but it's almost like a mental block. It's like sometimes I come in when I need it, sometimes I come in when I don't. Um, and it's kind of counterintuitive for me sometimes. But today I didn't feel like talking about it, but I must be in a better place about it because I'm here and I'm on with you now. And yeah, there's been so anybody who knows me really well knows that I've had issues with my mother in the past and really traumatic issues with parenting and growing up and stuff that I didn't even realize existed and stuff that I thought if it had existed, I had already pretty much eradicated it or dealt with it or whatever. And at this stage in life, it's kind of like, all right, does it really need to affect me now? Like, can't we be done with this? So I was doing really well. I was actually on the ascent, so to speak. Um, and I still felt like I needed a journey, by the way, but I was on the ascent and I felt really good. Everybody was seeing progress in me, multiple, modalities that I've been working with over the years, the last few years, especially. My mother decides to, now I have issues with my mom, right? And but she was in Florida, so it was perceivably safer that she was in Florida, right? That's just geography. We know that. But perceivably, my nervous system is like, hey, she can't hurt you. She's down there. Well, guess what? Mom decided to move back to Massachusetts. And it was like I knew it mentally, consciously. I knew that this was going to have an impact on me. I knew that there was something rumbling inside of me, almost like a little simmer. However, it was more like a tsunami under the sea that I couldn't even see. Even though I'm like, that's weird. The animals are running. There's something going on. There's something wrong here. And I know that I'm going to feel something. But by the time I realized what had actually happened, the village was gone. Like the tsunami had created a wave that hit so fast and so hard that the village was gone. Like I had just my nervous system just imploded and collected my wife and partially my daughter and just wreaked havoc. And we were already having some issues like, within the family with, my daughter's 10 and she's going through some issues on her own, independence, autonomy, all that stuff that kids go through. And it was like a perfect storm. And, even one of my business partners, they were having a perfect storm that hit my perfect storm. And it was like just this crazy whirlwind of, stories and trauma flying around and just not really able to fully acknowledge and deal with what was happening. It was like, if you've ever gotten high or gotten drunk, it was like you get drunk, you know what I mean? You act a certain way, it's not really you. You have a hungover period, you feel like crap, and then you come out of it and you're kind of like, wow, and it doesn't feel like it was even you. That's what happened to me. It was like my parts, my internal nervous system, they swarm together. They don't just typically act independently, which makes it more challenging. And they created such a whirlwind and just took me over. And the beautiful thing is that I'm finding love and compassion. I don't have the heavy, heavy, heavy guilt and shame that I would have had over the last 1 to 3 years. But there's a lot of um, pain that I've caused myself and my family over the past, 2 to 4 weeks, especially. And I'm grateful for the awareness, and I'm grateful for the people like you who know me. They've really gotten to know who I am. So when my nervous system goes off the rails, yes, there are reactions, and yes, there are arguments, and there are, different behaviors that need to be modified and changed and adaptations, and there might be some avoidance and all that. But deep down, these people know who I am, and they accept me for who I am, and they support me, and they love me despite those hiccups. And this was a big hiccup. It was like a relapse. And they love me despite the relapses because they know who I am, they know how hard I've worked, and they know how important it is. And as challenging as it's been, I'm really grateful for that today. And it's like everything turned around. Nothing's totally fixed yet, but things have turned around, including the weather. I mean, even the weather was down. Even the weather was cold and wet and gloomy, and it was like, all right already. And it was just like bad mojo. Like Alyssa saged the house a little bit last week, this morning, like just let's get this bad energy out of this house. And yeah, I'm really especially grateful for the people who love me and support me because there's no way I could do this on my own and figure this out and get through this without just completely imploding and going into a dive, like a tailspin that I would never come out of. So it's been a challenge, but I'm grateful for the awareness, the perspective, and mostly the people who've helped me, including you, sir.
Thank you for sharing, Chris. Yeah. The Ouroboros is real. It can eat its own tail and come back to life. Oh, that's a beautiful, beautiful awareness with that. And I'm so freaking proud of you, dude, from what you just said, right? Because you used to be able to live there. You used to be addicted to that pain, that dark place. And now you're like, people love me anyway. People love me because people love me through it. And that's exactly where you're supposed to be right now, is feeling that love and having that love for yourself.
Thank you.
Thank you, brother. I also had, since Michelle started, this day with some beautiful mom energy. I will say I also had a not proud moment with my mother. A lot of you know I have a lot, we all have stuff with our moms, right? And my mother was over for this is like 2 or 3 weeks ago. And she was over totally innocent, doing nothing wrong, but she did something that triggered right. I went right back to like my 9 or 10 year old self that had to defend and protect and all of the things. And I barely remember. I just remember feeling the feeling in my body, which I'm aware of right before something like that happens. Normally, I'm really good at just feeling it in my body and just saying, okay, breathe, let it go, use the coping. But this time, boom, I went right into my 9 year old self, let it all out, screamed, shouted, paced around, did all my things. Like nothing was useful. And then she, because she's also a child, right, went into her 10 or 11-year-old self. And so she blocked. And it became this massive, huge volcanic eruption of emotion and energy, and no progress was made. And thank God for like the first time ever, not the first time ever, sorry, but like in that moment, it was the first time in months that Meg happened to be there. And for those of you who know, Meg's an incredible intuitive, and so she helped kind of bring that back to center, to presence. And but I still barely remember what happened that day. So it's we all have it. We all have it. I'm a little sad. I had a quote reading today. I'm going to read it. It was really for Jack Pinard, but I think he just dropped off. But I'm going to read this for anybody else because a lot of people need to hear this too. So for those of you who are still here with me, this one's called Love is in the Being. You do not have to do anything to be loved. You do not have to perform or achieve or earn a merit badge or be witnessed doing good. It has taken me almost half a century to learn and believe this. It is my work to this day, for our messages to the contrary are very deep. Growing up, I heard my father say 1,000 times, "Don't tell me how hard you try, just show me what you've accomplished." But my life has shown me that the opposite is true. In my heart, where the spirit of the world really comes alive, it doesn't matter what I accomplish. The only thing that matters is how deeply I try. For out of this trying comes sincerity and love. This has led me to another realization of the heart. Being who we are does not let others down. I'm going to say that again. Being who we are does not let others down. For much of my adult life, I've heard the message, you must consider others, offered as a caution against following your heart because it might upset others. Certainly, true compassion begins with the consideration of others, but the displeasure of others is no reason to muffle your love or your voice. You do not have to do anything to be loved, and being who you are does not let others down. This needs to be repeated and often. Simply be who you are and love what is before you. Obviously, I still get a little activated when I read passages like that, and this is why it'll be my message. And as I share it with you, I'm sharing it for me all the time. I think I shared with you guys when I found the mantra, it wasn't I am enough. Like everyone's supposed to say that over and over and over again. But for me, I had a different feeling in my body when I said, I have done enough. It was repeating the Jim Carrey's line, I have done enough. And it made me feel so uncomfortable that I wrote it in my journal 50 times and then another 50 times until I was finally just doing it, without having the feelings around it. And I'll tell you, I still to this day, it still feels wrong in my body because my brain, just like Jack mentioned, right? It's like the just tip of the iceberg and chipping away at the huge glacier underneath for how we have been trained to operate since we were little. And yet I know, because I feel it in my body, the truth that lies there. And I also know the freedom that becomes available once we release trying to please others, once we release trying to accomplish for the sake of being accepted or being loved, are trying to accomplish to keep us safe from something, to have the knowledge or the accomplishments, right? The credentials so that people look up to us. By releasing all of that, we just become pure because we're human beings and not human doings. So I hope, Nisar, if you're able to take that piece of this and we can send this to Jack too, specifically, that would be awesome. And anybody else who needs it, I guess that was for you, as it is for me every time I say it. So I love you. Let's end the week as we usually do. If you're still with me, let's take a deep breath in and let it out. Oh, I need it this week. Let's do one more. Ready? Deep breath in. And let it go. We now get to start another week. We get to start another week with presence, with peace, with calmness. We get to sit with who we really are and begin with clarity on what we'd like to do or to be. Every single moment, we get to choose who it is that we are. Knowing that we get to do it in our authentic voice that brings us closer to freedom, us closer to excitement or passion, knowing that it's not about anybody else except feeling that in our own world. As we walk down the street, we walk in our supermarket, we pass by another human, an entire world, a universe, stories are walking by, just like for us. Exploring, understanding who we are, and coming into the love that is so desperately needed for all of those parts of us. Realizing those voices in our heads and where they're coming from, knowing that they all have the intent of love behind them, and now we get to be aware of them and accept them or shift them. That is the true key to being free in this life, is to accept as the purest soul that you are, to create anything you want to create in this life, knowing that the universe will have your back. There's no more need to run from anything, and there's no need to chase anything else. Being where you are right now is exactly where you're supposed to be. Having what you have right now is exactly what you're supposed to have. And all of the challenges and the struggles and the obstacles, those are the only way to expand as a soul, so we get to embrace all of it. We smile, we lean in, we feel the air on our faces, the softness on our skin. We take our deep breath to remind ourselves that we're alive. And that is enough for today. Take a deep breath in, feel the air, fill your lungs. And let it go. I love you. I love you. I love you. Thank you all for joining me today. I'll see you next same bat time, same bat channel next Monday morning. We'll see what tech issues Nick gets himself into then.